Hello everybody, my name is Slaughter, and today I'm incredibly proud to present to you a world first. This is a flush 5x5 interlocking door. There have been 2x2s, there have been 3x3s, there have even been a few 4x4s, but this is the first ever 5x5 interlocking door. After 13 iterations and years of work, I'm finally happy enough with this design to share the build as well as a full tutorial with all of you. Before we get started, I'd like to clarify something about the word seamless. In the redstone community, seamless usually means no visible redstone within the opening when the door is open or closed. But with flying machine doors, that kind of seamlessness is nearly impossible. And that's because slime and honey blocks count as redstone components. So when this door is fully open, even though there's no gaps in the wall, it's not seamless in the traditional sense. When I'm using the word seamless, I mean in the sense that there are no holes in the walls, because that in itself with flying machine doors is quite a challenge. Now I'll be honest, this door isn't fast, this door isn't very compact, but when it opens...
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
You know, my earliest design of this door used a water stream to update a center row of observers, which I thought was quite elegant, but it does leave a bunch of holes in the doorway when the door is open, and I wasn't quite satisfied with that. But I do think the opening animation as a result of the water is pretty cool, like the timing of it, so I tried to keep that timing on the way up with this design, and I'm quite happy with how small and practical this design is to build. Likewise, I was able to get a trapdoor version of this working, but it relied on a tripwire hook being updated by wind charges, and as a result it's a little bit directionally inconsistent, and it also requires a little bit of tripwire in the doorway here, which again I wasn't quite happy with that either. I did also play around with a toothed style door, but the only way I could find to pull this off was retracting this one and offsetting the timing, because the only block that can be basically controlled from a sticky point of view or immovable state is actually a piston. So this is kind of the only block that we can control whether or not it can be moved with redstone. So if there were more blocks like that, that would be kind of neat. Side note too, just having more blocks in general that didn't stick to slime and honey blocks would be kind of cool, but kind of like respectively. Like it would be neat if, let's say, you know, glazed blocks didn't stick to slime, but they did stick to honey, and waxed blocks stuck to slime but not honey, or vice versa. You know, having ones that are biased towards honey or slime could also be pretty cool, could make for some neat contraptions. If honey blocks behaved more like slime blocks, we could have some absolutely massive flying machine doors with built-in logic, but unfortunately they don't. So, you know, that would be cool. It'd be cool if they behaved more like redstone lamps, where they were still technically transparent, but they also carried a signal. I think that would be a smarter way for honey blocks to behave, because they're supposed to behave very similarly to slime blocks, but they kind of don't. But regardless, this design did lead me to a better engine design. This one also works with honey blocks. That's one of the struggles with building flying machines with honey blocks in general, is that they are transparent blocks, so they don't carry signal the way slime blocks do. So the observers have to be right next to the piston in most honey block flying machines. So with this new engine design, I was able to make this style door, which is pretty sweet in my opinion, and no holes when it's open, so pretty nice. Now, one of the biggest challenges with working with flying machines in general is updating them without interfering with them. And droppers tend to make really good stoppers because they are immovable, so they will stop the flying machine, and they can be easily updated with redstone and quasi-connectivity, so it makes them really easy to work with in terms of updating in a flying machine and stopping them. But if you're trying to work other systems in there, so for example with this flush door, there's the animation for closing the door, which is all controlled by the flying machines, and then there's the animation for making it flush, which we need to power, you know, these obsidian blocks here. So in this case we're using tripwires and string because these don't stick to honey or slime. They won't be destroyed when the flying machine moves, and we can stick a entity like a minecart onto a honey block and just kind of move it in and out of the tripwire as needed. And it's a little bit cumbersome, but it does work really well, and it's pretty elegant in my opinion. It's kind of a neat way to carry redstone from a long distance without interrupting the flying machines, because that's the other thing too, is you know, like if we put something here that does carry power, it might give quasi connectivity to these pistons and break the flying machines. Now, because the trapdoor version of this design does take advantage of this entity in string mechanic, we do end up having a little timer system in here. This is essentially an ABBA gate or an ABBA circuit, but it also has a little bit of kind of adjustment to it. So we can kind of adjust the timing between our AB on and our BA off, because this, you know, being a flying machine, the timing is a little bit strange, right? So we want to be able to pull this down right away, hold off on these flying machines until it's down all the way, and then we can you know, open the door. And likewise, when we close it, we want it to wait on powering these blocks until the door is fully closed and then power it. So that's kind of where the ABBA circuit comes into play. But because we're using falling entities, and the reason we're using armor stands actually have the fastest entity falling speed, so they'll fall even faster than an anvil. So when we're turning the system, or opening the door rather, the fastest entity that we can use to fall out of these tripwires is actually armor stands. There might even be a faster way to trigger this by putting them on half slabs, but regardless, this whole system could be made faster by using a 3-tick pulse generator instead of just a standard, like I have a 4-tick delay for these pistons. If it was a 3-tick pulse generator, you would get much faster opening and closing movement, and you could fine-tune this quite a lot, but this is more just a proof of concept. Now, because entity calculations aren't really high on Minecraft's you know, calculation priority list, especially on servers with optimizations for entities, sometimes this door can break on servers. So as a result, we have this little ABBA circuit so that if we need to, we can add extra blocks in here to adjust the timing. Every time you add a block in here, it'll add an extra 4 ticks to the opening delay, and down here 4 ticks to the closing delay. So you can kind of adjust the system for multiplayer needs. If you're not getting a great TPS, you can kind of adjust the door to be a little bit slower, so it'll have a little bit more time in between the actions of closing the door and extending these final pistons, because right now it's about as tight as it can be, and it could be, yeah, it could be bad on a certain server. Now, there are 6 variations of this door. There is the horizontal open, just the standard basic design. There is the horizontal open flush design, the trapdoor basic design, the trapdoor flush design, the vertical open design, and the vertical open flush. Now, a side note, with this flush design, it does require some obsidian stopper blocks here. These could be any immovable blocks. I'm not really a huge fan of this one. I had a lot of trouble powering these pistons without interfering with the flying machines in this layout. I found it really tricky because there's no real magic solution like tripwire hooks on the trapdoor and horizontal layout. Nonetheless, this one's a bit of a cheat because it requires these stoppers. But it's here if somebody wants it. I still think this is probably the cleanest, and my personal favorite is the OG horizontal open. Now, because there's 6 variations of this door, doing a tutorial for each one would be kind of redundant, especially because all of the flush designs are just the base designs with an extra circuit. So instead what I'll be doing is I'll walk through both variations in one go, and if you want to build the basic design, I'll just tell you when to stop. If you're building the flush design, we'll just keep going. Simple as that. There are timestamps in the description, and I will show you materials for each door as we go. So just pick your door, and I will see you there. There's also schematics for anybody in the description, but sometimes Lightmatica doesn't place the entities properly, so just know that you'll need 5 armor stands for the trapdoor design flush, and 5 mine carts for the horizontal open flush. Just keep that in mind. Side note, this was built on Java, currently on 1.21.7. I have no idea if this works on Bedrock, and I'm probably not going to test it, but feel free to try. There's no reason it shouldn't. Okay, so for the 5x5 horizontal open, we have the basic and the flush designs. If you're building the basic, this is everything you need. And if you plan on making the flush version, this is everything you'll need. So to get started, we can go ahead and place a button on this block. This is what's going to control the door. We're going to come down by 2 blocks, add a couple there, branch out this way by however many this is, too lazy to count, a couple more this way, and I'll probably have a little visual on screen here when I'm less lazy. Alright, we can go ahead and extend this by 1, this by 3, and on this side over here we'll come up by 2. Now we can place some dust here, observer facing into that dust, a little bit of redstone coming off of that. I'm going to put a repeater here, and then just fill the rest in with redstone. And go ahead and put a sticky piston here, and one here, so that they're on the same level. Now we can go ahead and make our doorway on this block here, right on top of this observer. Now we're going to get some obsidian, go 3 blocks out. And go ahead and finish off this doorway. Then on this side here, we can go ahead, put a block there, slime block on top of this sticky piston, and we're going to put an observer facing into that slime block, just like that. Also go ahead, bring this up by another block, put some redstone dust there. Next up, on this side here, we're going to come over 2 blocks, 1 block up, delete those 2, extend that by 2, so you should have 3 blocks here. And then come out diagonally for 1 other block, and we're going to go ahead and put a dropper here, like that, and a copper bulb on top of that one. We can also put a copper bulb on this side, and we can go ahead and actually put a few more slime blocks on these guys here. And on this side here, we can go ahead and put an observer, just like that, kind of match this side, but see it's 1 block higher than this side. That is intentional. And over here we can go ahead and add some obsidian as a stopper. Our first flying machine is going to kind of fly through this row. So we want to put something immovable here. Obsidian or furnaces or droppers works, anything that can't be moved. But obsidian kind of looks better than most of the other options. Now on this side over here, we can go ahead and add a target block there. A little bit of redstone here. Repeater here. Block like that, some dust here, just like that. And on this copper bulb, you're going to want a observer facing downwards, just like that. Now on this side, you're going to want to come up another block, another one, diagonal like that, and an observer looking down, and a dropper here and here. On this side as well, underneath the target block, there should be a dropper there. Alright, we're basically going to do what we did on the other side. Target block here, some redstone. We're gonna want a repeater, some dust, and we want both these repeaters on 4 ticks, just like that. On this side, 1 block up, we can go ahead and add an obsidian stopper, kind of like this side. And we can also put another observer here, and go ahead and expand this up by 1 and put another one there. And since we're here, we may as well just add all of our obsidian stoppers in right now. Save us a couple trips back and forth in the future. And if you want, you can also go ahead and place all this obsidian up here. Just like that. Alright, now on this side, we're going to kind of match this shape we have with blocks. So another 3, another 1, another dropper, and another dropper. And these droppers are going to kind of act as stoppers for the flying machines because they're immovable. And they're also going to act as activators for the flying machine because when you send a pulse through them, they, of course, give off a redstone signal, which updates an observer. So if we have an observer here, we take a button, put a little pulse through, you'll see that observer actually updates really quickly. So it's a nice way to easily activate and stop flying machines. Alright, next up we're going to take another copper bulb, put it up here, and an observer facing into this block here. And again, we can pretty much match this redstone. So a target block, we're going to do a repeater, some redstone, oops, just like that. And of course we want this repeater on 4 ticks so that when this copper bulb gets activated, these both fire at the same time. Now on this right side here, we can go ahead, expand this up by 1 more, add our last observer here, and we're going to go ahead and finish up this part of the stopper and send circuit. So for that, we just need to do 1 more dropper here and another one here. Go ahead and put a block there, and we'll bring some redstone dust over to this dropper to power it. So now, if you want to test it, all 6 of these should be firing on the same tick. Well, sorry, these 3 should fire on the same tick, and these 3 should fire 4 ticks after. Like that. And that's pretty much one side. Let's go ahead and finish off this side. So same idea here, but we only need 2, because there's only going to be 2 arms on this side versus the 3 on that side. So go ahead and just bring a signal up like that, and another dropper there, and you're pretty much done. Alright, now comes the, I guess the actual main mechanism for this machine, which is the flying machines. And we save these for last because flying machines are a little annoying to work with, especially when they kind of sneak away from you. So for this, you're going to need your honey blocks, your slime blocks, your sticky pistons, and some observers. That is pretty much the core of any flying machine. And of course, we're going to need whatever block you've decided to make your door out of. I like this combo here, but you can really do whatever you want. So for the first one here, I'm going to just use a schematic so I can get a taste for it. And once you have one down, it's really easy to follow along. But I'm not going to lie, brain's a little fried right now, so we're just going to follow the schematic. Alright, we've got piston. So observer facing into this dropper. We got sticky piston facing outwards. We're going to put 3 slime blocks, 2 slime blocks, an observer facing outwards, and another sticky piston facing this way, just like that. Now over here, same idea, we're going to add another dropper, or sorry, another observer facing into that dropper, and another sticky piston pointing this way, just like that. And we can go ahead and add 5 slime blocks. The last one will end up in this doorway here, just like that. And whatever you want to make your door out of. Again, for me, I'm just using these blocks, but you can kind of do whatever you want. Now, this block here, it's got to be something movable. You might be tempted to, you know, just fill this in with obsidian, but this space actually needs to be occupied by this observer later on. Quick note on these walls, actually, these do need to be 3 obsidian blocks here, or immovable blocks, and 2 obsidian blocks. That's kind of why I was confused earlier. So yeah, this observer stops here, and this space ends up occupied by a slime block, this guy there. So that's why this needs to be a movable block. Alright, so once you have one built, you go ahead and just pretty much copy that on the 3 different layers where our droppers are at here. So we'll go ahead and just do that real quick. Alright, that is pretty much one side done. We're going to go ahead and finish up this side. It's going to be pretty much the same, except you're going to use honey blocks. So again, I'm just going to do my first one here with the schematic layer on. Get my first one built. And we'll just go from there. ahead and just copy that layout. Observer, piston, or sticky piston rather. Honey blocks, sticky piston, observer, observer, sticky piston, honey blocks. You get the idea. There's a rhythm to it. And that is more or less the basic version of this door. Go ahead and test fire it. Everything should work. Everything should open and close at the same time. Very nice. So if you just want to build the basic version of this door, not the seamless, you're pretty much done. That's it. It's pretty easy door. Now, if you are here for the seamless version, we're going to go ahead and make a couple modifications here. Alright, so first things first, go ahead and open the door and block off the honey and slime blocks. We'll just make it so that if we accidentally send a pulse through, our flying machines aren't going to go off here, because we're going to be modifying some stuff. We don't want to accidentally break the door and have to rebuild these flying machines, because that can get annoying. Alright, so before we go ahead and add any of this new stuff in, we're going to go ahead and modify some of the existing design. First thing you'll notice, we actually moved this observer chain up by 1. Just like that, okay? And for whatever reason, it helps the timing and makes it work a little bit better with both of these, the flush and the opening mechanisms. So yeah, for whatever reason, do it this way now. It just works better. Now over on this side, we're going to go ahead and add in some obsidian blocks. These don't need to be obsidian. You just don't want them to stick to these honey blocks here that we're going to be placing in a few seconds. So go ahead and place that. And likewise, this doesn't need to be obsidian. I just am making it out of obsidian because that was what I originally made it with. Now over on this side where this repeater is, we're going to go ahead and place a block under this and bring it out by 2, up by 1, and over by another 4, just like that. We can go ahead and place a target block there like that, and an immovable block like obsidian here, block coming out of that, and then we're going to go ahead and place a sticky piston, a block, sticky piston, block, just like that. And then these blocks here are essentially, again, just to keep this minecart not from flying anywhere, and that's why they're immovable, is to not stick to these. So if you really wanted to save on obsidian, you could make these ones, you know, regular blocks, but it's not too impractical to get these days. And then we'll finally go ahead and just place 1 honey block here for now. We'll come back and put our minecarts in at the end. And there's no sense putting a honey block here. We're gonna have to break it anyways. So go ahead, repeater there, just 1 tick, yeah. And we'll go ahead and place some redstone dust there. Redstone dust coming down here. Another 1 tick repeater here. Redstone torch there, like that. Okay, that should do. Come over down here. And on this other side of where this repeater was, we're gonna go ahead and branch this out, or bring it down slightly. Just like that. I'm just now realizing I could have made this slightly smaller, but it is what it is. I've never, you know, size is not really my concern. Go ahead, place redstone block there, redstone repeater, some more dust going this way, and essentially this is a way of crossing redstone lines without intersecting with each other. Go ahead and do the same thing over here. Just bring this over. We'll place a target block there. And this one comes out 6 blocks from this middle of this piston extender. So in case you're losing track here, because I'm also losing count. So we're gonna go up 1 from there, 2 over, 1 down and 1 up. You may as well place these ones as well. And it's kind of similar to what we did on this side to activate the droppers. We're going to do something similar to activate these pistons. So go ahead, put in some sticky pistons, just like that. You can put in this bottom honey, but no point putting the rest in just yet. And again, block up here just to stop it from going anywhere. put a repeater here. I believe that was 1 tick. Yeah, 1 tick delay on that. Some dust here, just like that. We'll go ahead and place this torch in, and some more dust, or one final repeater there, and a little bit more dust, just like that. Okay. Oh, I believe this needs to be a repeater. Yes. Okay, like that. Okay, so same as on the other side here. I'm gonna go ahead and add in our obsidian stoppers. Just like that. Alright, we can go ahead and add some tripwire hooks on these 3 blocks over here, as well as right here. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. A couple tripwire hooks on these blocks as well. And then just go ahead and connect these up with some string. Now, the reason we're using string here to activate these is because they don't stick to the honey or slime, so it won't interfere with the flying machine. This is honestly one of the biggest discoveries that made this door possible. And I know that people have been using string to send redstone signals a long distance for a long time. But I think its use in flying machines hasn't really been seen much, so it's kind of an interesting application, and I really do think it has some, I don't know, some unseen potential. It's one of those redstone blocks that isn't really used, or components rather, that's not really used too often. The other neat part about it you just saw there is when you step on it, it actually changes block states, so an entity passing through it, even when it's not connected, can update an observer, so it can make some really, really interesting circuits with it. But go ahead and do the same thing with these other 2 lines of string. Just make sure you're not accidentally placing it where you're not supposed to. I think I'm good. You'll know it's connected when you hear that little click, and then also when you actually go inside of it. You should hear like kind of a pressure plate sound. Tripwire clicks, you can see the subtitle there. That's how you know that it is actually fully connected. So now that we've got those in place, we're going to go ahead and add in some minecarts here. So we need, let's see, 5 minecarts now. I'm pretty sure that Lightmatica doesn't actually count entities, so those probably weren't in the chest. And I apologize for that you're going to have to go make some minecarts. Alright, so what you're going to do, put a block above this little stack, rail there, minecart, break the block, let it drop. Repeat that. Oh, actually, let's place that second honey block. And repeat that process until you have a couple of minecarts there. And what you'll see is their hitboxes like the size of a block perfectly. So if we were to power this, let's just use a lever for now. If we were to power this, you would see the pistons get extended and the tripwire hooks get activated. And because they're entities, they don't stick to the flying machines. So yeah, this is a really nice way to activate these blocks in here, which will be used for our piston extension for the seamlessness, or sorry, flush design. So yeah, it's kind of useful. Now that we've got that, we have to add in our little animation timing circuit here. So we're going to go ahead and put a block down here. Break this block, put that there, a couple blocks down like that. So basically, from this observer, we've dropped this block down, gone over, added 2 more, 1 here. I'm going to come up diagonally like that, add 1 there, add another 1 diagonally like that. Now we're going to go ahead and add a copper bulb there with a little bit of dust on top of it. Another block, button, and this is now our new input. So you could power this however you want, or this lamp, doesn't really matter. And now take a comparator out of that lamp, a redstone torch coming off that, another comparator down here, another one up here, and finally observer placing into that comparator, a little bit of dust, another lamp, another torch. Well, I'm assuming you have eyes, so let's go ahead and put some of these here, just like that. Sticky piston. And this is essentially an ABBA circuit. I'm assuming I've already explained this in the video, but yeah, this is basically an ABBA circuit. We're going to turn on this side first, and then this side, but we're going to do it in a way that we can control the timing. So we're going to go ahead, go like this. Alright, so now we got to adjust the timing for this system. So in this top hopper here, I'm going to put 3 of any random stackable block, as long as it's not a stackable item like ender pearls. Actually, I think it would still work as long as it's stackable. I'm going to put 7 in this system here, okay? And now we want this armor stand, or sorry, this minecart to be like not where it is right now. We don't want it to be, we don't want these pistons to be extended when the door is open, because that means these blocks are powered, okay? So we want to change this like that, okay? Because this is going to move every time we use the system, and we want to make sure that when we put our items in, we're going to put them in on this side, just like that. Now, it looks like I put an obsidian block there as a stopper. I don't think that's necessary, but it's there, so I'm going to put it. Now, we can go ahead and remove these stoppers and go ahead and test our system. And it's not working because I didn't put pistons. I also don't know that I put minecarts on this side. No, I didn't put minecarts on this side. So let's go ahead and do that. You know, some servers might have something like a empty minecart deletion plugin, where it deletes empty ones after a while. If that's the case, just use like a chest minecart and put some dirt blocks in it or something, and it shouldn't delete storage minecarts. But I don't know. If you're on a server that deletes entities, I don't know. That's on you, man. Okay, so let's go ahead and, oh yeah, before we make a fool of ourselves again, let's go ahead and replace these blocks with sticky pistons, because we kind of need these to be sticky pistons for this extension to work. Okay, there we go. So if everything works well, yeah, everything looks good. This should work. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Boom. It's magic. Redstone magic, I tell you. And if you're finding that this isn't working for whatever reason on a server or something, this design's pretty consistent even on multiplayer. But if it's, you know, for whatever reason it's not, then you can adjust some stuff here. So anytime you press this button, first thing that's going to happen is it's going to send a signal to essentially close the door, right? And then a little while later, we want to activate that system to make the inner pistons push outwards and make the door flush. When you're opening the door, or sorry, closing the door, that timing works great. But when you're closing the door, you want it to pull back a lot sooner than you want it to open, I guess, right? So you want that timing to be different. So that's kind of where you have a little bit of adjustment here. And if you're playing on a server that is skipping a lot of ticks, feel free to add another block or two inside of these, and it should help slow down the movement of the door and kind of make it work a bit better on a laggy server. So yeah. Okay, for the vertical opening design, if you're building the basic version, here is everything you'll need. And if you're going to build the flush version, here is everything you'll need. So just like before, we're going to have a block with our button on it as our input, and we can go ahead and start by building out the frame, and that way we know where the door is going to be. And from this block, we're going to come 10 blocks down. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Delete the rest. I'm going to come off that block by 3, delete those 2. And come over by 5, delete these 4. And you're going to put 2 on this side and 4 on this side with a little hook coming off this way. So you're actually going to do 5 off this side and then a hook instead of 4. Should look like this. And then of course, we're going to have our droppers here. Depending on how you want your door to open, whether you want 3 teeth going down and 2 up, or vice versa, you can switch this around, and I will show you easily how to do that at the end. Alright, so on these blocks here, we're going to go ahead, place some redstone dust, repeater on 4 ticks, more dust here, and some observers facing downwards. Then we can put some sticky pistons, or sorry, some slime blocks attached to those observers like this. This is going to be kind of the start of our flying machine. We're not going to build too much of them because it is kind of annoying when they fly off, but just to get an idea of where they're going to go. I'm going to go ahead and place a block here and an observer facing downwards like, oops, like that. So I guess facing upwards, power going downwards. And you're going to come off this 6 blocks, just like this, and basically match that dropper setup that you have down there. These are going to be your stoppers for the flying machines. And if you want, you can go ahead and place these sticky pistons now. I'm not going to place the rest though, because I don't want to accidentally trigger this system. So don't forget to also put some redstone on top of this observer. See how it triggers. That's why we don't want to add the rest of the layers just yet. But then we're going to kind of keep this observer train going upwards, so we need to build some blocks to kind of place off of. So delete these 2 and put 2 more observers facing downwards like that. Then we're going to put some redstone dust on top of this observer and a block on top of that. And off that block we want to go up a couple more so we can place another observer like that, and let's just leave that for now. We're going to come off of our button block, go down by 1, and just bring a signal over. We want to bring it 4 blocks past this observer and then bring it over another 3. So we should have something like this, and we're going to put a block there as well. Now we can go ahead and fill this in, repeater there on 1 tick, a little bit of redstone here, just like that. And we're going to end up bringing a slab tower upwards, so I'm just going to put some temporary blocks here so that I can put some slabs and bring a redstone signal upwards. So we're just going to be placing 4 slabs like that, a little bit of redstone dust on them like so. We can get rid of these temporary blocks, and we're going to put a copper bulb at the end of this, some redstone on top so we can actually activate it. Alright, so let's leave that for now. Back at this observer, we're going to place a piece of redstone and we can start filling in this bottom plate with some obsidian. So we're going to be placing 5 building blocks of any kind. For me, I'm using concrete powder, or sorry, black concrete. And we're going to come out with 3 obsidian like this, and some more obsidian in the corners like that to act as stoppers. And we can go ahead and just put some concrete here for now as well. And later on, our flying machines will pass through these slots here. Then we'll just go ahead and bring some obsidian walls back by 4 blocks, and then some concrete here. We can do the same thing on the other side, just like that, and pretty much do the opposite of what you have down here up here. So if you've got, so we'll do our concrete first. If you've got your pillars in the 3 slots here, you're going to add stoppers here and slots here, if that makes sense. And likewise with your concrete, it'll kind of switch spots here, and then look something like that. Now coming back to the side here, we're going to want to continue this little observer train that we had going on. So we're going to put a block, observer, and then a piece of redstone like that. And then here we're going to do an observer facing into the copper bulb, and then a block here. Another observer facing into this redstone dust, block there, and we're going to do the exact same thing up top here. Observer facing into it, so we have 3 observers facing into this redstone dust. And sorry, this block should actually be a piece of redstone. We'll go ahead and put another observer facing downwards like this, another block on top of that one, another piece of redstone, another observer, another block, another piece of redstone. I think you get the idea. We are just trying to bring this signal upwards, and this is a pretty efficient way to do it. Well, not really efficient, but observers allow you to kind of time the spacing. So even though these are slightly different distances, we can gap the timing to be the same, because observers all have a 1 tick delay, or 2 redstone tick, sorry, 2 game ticks, 1 redstone tick. Now go ahead and put your droppers up here. These again are going to act as stoppers for the flying machines and also activators. Go ahead and run a redstone line here, and of course we're going to continue this signal upwards. So another dropper, or sorry, observer facing downwards with a block on top of that, and then we're going to continue this outwards by another 5 blocks, and we're going to want 2 more droppers just like that, with a little bit of redstone. And this time we also need a 4-tick delay, just like that. Do a piece of redstone here instead of a block. That makes sense. So what should happen is these these droppers will get activated, and 4 ticks later, these ones will get activated and essentially send our flying machines flying. Okay, so we have the circuit in for closing the door. Now we just need one for opening it. So we're going to go ahead, add a sticky piston underneath this block here, behind that redstone dust that's coming in, and we're going to add a couple of things here. Need some slime blocks, and then a block here, an observer facing into that block, a sticky piston coming out of that observer, 5 slime blocks facing out of that, and then 3 observers facing inwards. Now, there's probably a more efficient way to do this that doesn't have these sticking all the way out of the doorway, but this is kind of the easiest way I found to trigger it. For the top half, using observers worked really well, or sorry, using just like a redstone signal worked really well, but for down here, it just, for whatever reason, kept breaking the flying machines, and this system didn't seem to break. So even though it's a little wasteful, it kind of adds an extra 2 blocks to the width for really no reason other than to open one half of the door. But regardless, this was more just kind of added as an afterthought, this vertical open. I didn't spend nearly as much time on this as the others, so it's more just there for people who really want it. But regardless, this is our opening mechanism, so you can kind of see what happens if we put a little test button here on this copper lamp. It just does a little bit of that. Simple. And we're basically going to do the same thing at the top here. We're going to go ahead and add a sticky piston. We're going to put a slime block there, another one there, another one there, and then a block like that next to it. Observer facing into that, sticky piston coming out of that, and then 4 slime blocks coming out of that. And then 2 more observers stuck on those, like that. So when we activate this, both these activate at the same time. Now again, for you could do this 3 ticks slower and it works on the top, but for whatever reason it doesn't work on the bottom. And if I could have gotten that to work, it would have made this entire design like 2 blocks thinner, because it's literally just this part that sticks out. So I'm sure somebody will find a more clever way to compact it up a bit, but for now, this is what I got. Alright, so now you kind of have to decide whether you want the flying machines orientated this way or flipped the other way. I didn't really mention this in the other build, but it is quite easy to do. It's easier to do it ahead of time though, before fixing it and breaking it. So for me, I actually want to flip this, because I don't really like how this only leaves 2 blocks to walk on that aren't sticky, and the other one leaves 3 and you get to walk right in the middle. So what I mean by that is basically I'm going to rip this floor out and copy what I've got up here down here. So we'll have 3 strips that we can walk on without getting interrupted by slime blocks. That's another part of the reason this design is not really my favorite. It kind of it's a little annoying to walk on slime blocks like that. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and place those in there so we have something similar, and we can go ahead and break this and basically flip what we've got at the bottom now. So we'll go ahead and place these 3, these 3, these 2, and those 3 blocks there. So we've got something like that. And now if we want to flip the orientation at the bottom here, it's as simple as breaking these 3 droppers. Go ahead and put 2 there instead. And break these flying machines. Put 2 2 here instead. Just like that. And likewise, we'll want to adjust the opening system so we can put 4 down here, 5 up here, something like that. Basically just flip what we have, and same deal with up here. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 droppers, and just like that, now we'll have 3 at the top, 2 at the bottom. Kind of up to you what you want to do. If you want to keep it the first orientation or the second, it doesn't really matter. The flying machines are the same regardless. It just depends on where you have those stoppers. So yeah, I prefer to do it this way, and I'm gonna have honey blocks at the bottom and sticky at the top, and then that way we're not getting stuck to the floor every time. At least it's somewhat bouncy. But yeah. Alright, so for one of these flying machines, we're going to put an observer facing downwards into our our dropper like that. These bottom ones I want to be made of honey, so we're going to grab some honey blocks here, put a sticky piston like this, some honey blocks beside, honey blocks here, observer facing upwards, and a sticky piston facing downwards like that. We're going to go ahead and add one more honey block here with a sticky piston like this, and an observer facing downwards into this dropper, just like that. And now from here you can go ahead and add 5 more honey blocks, just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, thank goodness I can count. Grab some basalt. Actually, these are my 2, so I'm going to do any block you want. This doesn't have to be netherite. This is probably the most expensive block to use, but just like the combination with the basalt looks good on a door in my opinion. Pretty much just copy what you did over here onto this side, so dropper facing upwards, sticky pistons facing downwards, like that. Same deal over here, and then 5 honey blocks, and your 5 decorative blocks, just like that. Yeah, so now there's kind of only 1 honey block to walk over. And it's not too bad. You don't really get stuck or anything, you don't get bounced around. So it's not the most impeding thing in a doorway, but I do prefer to do it this way over having 3 slime. So yeah. Alright, we're pretty much going to do the exact same thing, but in the opposite direction at the top here. Let's start on this one. Gives us something we can use as a frame of reference. So an observer, sticky piston. We're going to do 3 slime blocks. Observer facing outwards, sticky piston upwards, and 2 blocks like that, more slime blocks. And then we're going to do another observer facing this way, sticky piston, and 5 slime blocks moving downwards, like that. And then now we can grab our other decorative block. You could just have this all be the same if you really wanted, doesn't really matter. Just like that. And pretty much repeat this over here. So let's just get our observers in, sticky pistons, slime blocks, observers, sticky pistons, observers, sticky boys, and a couple more of these. Alright, putting a couple temporary blocks here so I can just easily place these the direction I want. Okay, and as long as I didn't mess anything up, that should be the door. Let's just test it out. Well, closed on the right timing. Let's see if it opens on the right timing. Beautiful. Okay, so that is the flush basic vertical open. If that's all you wanted, congrats, you're done. If you want to do the flush version, well, keep watching. We got a little bit more to do. Okay, so go ahead and open the door here. We're gonna add some obsidian stoppers just so that we can easily work on this thing without accidentally sending it off. I also apologize, I'm starting to get a bit of a sore throat here. I've been recording for a couple of hours now, so yeah, I apologize if I'm clearing my throat a lot. Just kind of starting to get a bit of a sore one. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and add some concrete blocks on this side, just to kind of bring it out, hide those blocks down there. And we also need some blocks up here so that we can put some redstone on. So let's just go ahead and do that. Just like that. I was waiting for this plane to pass over because it's quite loud. But we're going to add 3 blocks coming out of our button here, and basically going all around this flying machine on either side of it. We don't want to touch any of the honey blocks, but basically just going to wrap around it like a little trident shape and put some redstone like this. Bring this out another 3 blocks and then another 3 this way, and put redstone all the way across just like that. Now we're going to put 4 repeaters. These 3 are going to be on a 2-tick delay. There's going to be the last one here on a 1-tick delay. Now there seems to be a common misconception with repeaters where people seem to think this is 0-tick, 1-tick, 2-tick, 3-tick, back to 0-tick, but a repeater naturally adds a 1-tick delay. You can see with the redstone tweaks texture pack, we can actually see a little 1 up there. It actually has a 1-tick delay on this setting, 2 ticks, 3 ticks, 4 ticks, and each of these being redstone ticks, of course. So each one redstone tick is 2 game ticks. So yeah, just a little tidbit of knowledge with repeaters, because I see the term get thrown around incorrectly a lot, and it's just something to be aware of. Anyway, we're going to come up here with some slabs and bring this redstone power upwards all the way to this block here. And on top of this block, we want a target block with a redstone torch on the side of it like this. So now we can go ahead and bring this redstone line upwards all the way, just like that. Bring it over by 4. A couple of repeaters here, just on 1-tick delay, and a little bit of redstone dust on top of these blocks. Now, yeah, so like one of the biggest challenge with making this door, the vertical flush, was powering these blocks and the lower blocks without affecting the flying machines. And this is kind of the most effective way I could think to do it without accidentally powering the flying machines. And even this does accidentally power them for a short amount of time, but it doesn't in a way where it still allows it to fly. It just makes it slightly slower for a bit, and then it'll continue flying. But yeah, I mean, like the other 2 designs that I have, they intentionally don't leave these blocks powered, because what happens now is if you place something here, it's powered, right? If you were to accidentally put a TNT there, it would just go off right away. And I'm not really a huge fan of that, but this is kind of the only thing I could do with this design. And then the other reason I don't really like this design is because these blocks need to be immovable. And to me, I don't know, it just doesn't, it feels a little weird. I'm sure somebody else could come up with a better way to power these blocks, because if these weren't getting powered all the time, then these pistons wouldn't risk pushing this out. But we have to change these with pistons, and as a result, see, as soon as we place one, it's powered, which is why these have to be stoppers. Every other door design doesn't rely on that. It's a mechanic that you can kind of abuse, is stopping a piston so that even if it's getting powered, it can only be pushed one way, because we don't want to push these too early, right? We only want these to push when they're on the opposite side. And likewise down here, got to do the same thing so that these don't accidentally push outwards. With that being said, there is no extra logic in this system. Looks like I had stoppers here for some reason, so let's go ahead and add those. There's no timer on this one. All the logic is just built in to the system itself. So you can see it is broken. Let's go ahead and find where the fix is. Oh, I don't think I actually ever, yeah, okay. That's why. I never put pistons here. Okay, so these also need to be replaced with pistons, just like that. Now if we test this, it should, again, not work. Okay, let's adjust some timing here. Okay, it does look like I changed the way this opened. I don't think this should affect, I don't think this should affect this too much, but let's go ahead and change that just in case it does. Okay, so yeah, I kind of forgot here. We add a extra delay at the bottom here and the top. And then as you can see, I put the honey blocks up here and the slime blocks down here, kind of flip those around. Forgot that that's how it's supposed to go, but that is what the build list counted for. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully you guys kind of picked up on that halfway through. And then we should be able to fire this door. Should be able to close and open. Okay. Yeah, so I think the biggest issue here was I didn't actually connect this trigger to the top. I had a different trigger system, and yeah, similar to the horizontal open, we just have to offset the timing for the opening a little bit so we can basically add a little more delay, so it gives it time to actually retract these pistons here, and then we shut off these circuits for a little bit so that the door can open without interference. But nonetheless, that is the flush vertical version. Okay, if you are building the trapdoor version of this door, for the basic design, this is everything you need. And for the flush design, this is everything you'll need. So first things first, let's add a button on top of a block, and this will be kind of where we base everything out of. We'll go ahead and just build our 5x5 door here. So let's just go ahead and make our door frame like so. And off of this block with our button, we're going to come 6 blocks down. And then 2 blocks over, and we can delete all of this for now. And we'll bring a signal down later. But for now, bring this 3 blocks over. And then coming inwards, another 4 blocks like this. And on this side, we're going to add 6 blocks. And then bring this side out another 6, and this side out another 4. Just like that. And a little bit of ways from this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 block over. We're going to place a block there. Now we can go ahead, place our 5 target blocks like this. And some redstone pretty much going all the way around. And when you get to this part here, you're going to want to add a repeater here, some dust in the middle there, just like that. And next to that dust, we can add a block and bring that block upwards by 1. Now up and over from this block, we're going to build a little monostable circuit. So we're going to use piston here, here like that. You bring a pulse from this button downwards into it like that, a repeater into this block with a piece of redstone dust going downwards so it'll get powered, and then we're also going to take a second pulse off of this monostable circuit going this way. And coming out of this block, we're going to go all the way up to here, and then another 3 blocks over, 1 block up, and then another 3 blocks. You can go ahead and delete that block. We'll put a block here. And we're going to follow the path of this bottom one all the way around like this, and again 3 blocks over, 1 block up, 3 blocks over, and delete that one. It should have something like that. Now off of this block, we're going to add the stoppers for the flying machines, and they're going to line up with these target blocks. So we've got dropper, block, dropper, and we're actually going to do the same thing over here. Bring this out by 1, dropper, block, dropper, and these are going to act as the stoppers for the flying machines. If you have built or been watching the other two, you'll know this is kind of the same design. We're just going to be activating it with a 1 tick pulse, and then 4 ticks later another 1 tick pulse to send our flying machines off. So same idea, we're going to put some droppers here and make sure to line them up with these target blocks down here, and do the same thing up here. Then we can go ahead, take a redstone signal out of this block, bring it over this way. We're going to put a 1 tick repeater here, 4 tick repeater here, and then redstone on top of all of these blocks and droppers, and these ones too. And of course do the same thing over here, bring this redstone signal over, 1 tick repeater, 4 tick repeater, and redstone all over these blocks and droppers. Okay, now we kind of need to start bringing our containment ring down for these flying machines, so let's go ahead and do that. Make sure to line it up with where they will be coming in and out of, and we can go ahead and bring this all the way down. Oh, this only needs to be 3 blocks of obsidian, and then we can do a block of concrete, and then here we'll be alternating concrete and obsidian. You don't have to alternate. I just like to reduce the amount of obsidian we're using, and I also think the checkerboard kind of looks cool with this type of door. Kind of has a bit of like a industrial biohazard feel, I guess. And then go ahead, bring these obsidian pillars all the way down. Now this row of blocks can also be these concrete blocks or any movable block, doesn't really matter. It's actually just these top 2 that need to be obsidian. Sorry if I just made you break like a bunch of obsidian. Also, not sure why I put torches here. This is actually for the seamless design, and this wouldn't even be the right ones. Those target blocks are just supposed to have nothing on them. They're supposed to just activate pistons later on. So yeah, take those off. Alright, so now it's time to build a couple of flying machines, and if you've been following along, you'll know these are pretty much all the same shape. So it's going to be observer, sticky piston, a couple of blocks here. I'm going to do an observer facing out this way with a sticky piston this way, like that. 3 slime blocks, observer this way, sticky piston. We're going to do 5 like that, and then we can start to put our decorative blocks now if we want to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll add some stoppers for these, so I can do that ahead of time. And pretty much just copy this, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side, except now we're going to do honey blocks so that they don't stick with each other. So a couple of these. And if I did everything correctly, we should get a monostable pulse, which sends these all off at the same time and opens them all up at the same time. Perfect. So if you're just looking to build the regular version, congratulations, you're done. And you can also make this a lot simpler by just using observer pulses instead of a monostable circuit. I'm not sure why I did it that way at the start. I was probably just feeling fancy. But yeah, 2 ways to do it. There you go. As long as it's a 1-tick pulse, it'll work the same. If you are wanting to build the seamless version, or sorry, the flush version, well, let's get started. Okay, as you can see, some stuff has changed. So we're going to want to head and basically move this row over all the way, just like that. And you know what, while we're working, let's go ahead, add a couple of obsidian stoppers here, just so we don't accidentally open the door when we don't mean to. And then, yeah, that should be good for now. And then let's go ahead back here, what we were doing. We can delete all this. That stays as is. 4-tick repeater here, 1-tick here, a little bit of redstone dust on top just to reconnect that. We're gonna go ahead, make sure that everything's the same on this side. On this side, I'm gonna move things over slightly and make way for some new blocks. So we have to delete these ones, just like that. So we're gonna be putting some pistons here, and we don't want to accidentally give them quasi connectivity power, so some QC power. So go ahead, piston there, piston there, delete that. And make sure all that redstone is connected. And on this side, same deal, we're going to extend this out a little bit. Make sure that this is, just trying to figure out why that looks the way it does. Yeah, okay, you know what, let's just go ahead and delete all this for now, because we do use a observer pulse here. Okay, so we can go ahead and add that in. That looks about right. We'll go ahead and add these pistons in. Delete those blocks afterwards. Whoops. Okay, that makes sense. So this block here needs to be an observer. That's why we're going up and over like that to catch that observer pulse. Just like that. And then this needs to be repeater so that it is on the same delay as this side here. Now everything gets picked up. And it looks like I'm using stoppers here for some reason on this design. Sometimes I just do this for testing, and other times it's part of the design, so I'm going to go ahead and add it in, assuming it's part of the design. And then we'll go ahead, come down by 3 blocks, and we're going to start extending this outwards, pretty much right underneath these pistons we added in, with a couple more target blocks here. Okay, now we can go ahead and add these torches right now. It doesn't matter if these pistons are on. We'll go ahead and add all this. We'll add another block here, redstone repeater, continue this outwards. More target blocks. And more more torches there. And then we can go ahead and power that, just to depower these torches and bring those armor stands down for now. Now we're going to go ahead and build our little timer circuit. So go ahead and place these blocks as I'm placing them. By the way, if you feel like the Schematica plugin is not really good for tutorials, let me know. I feel like it's kind of useful for me and the people watching, but I don't know. If it feels a little cheaty, let me know. But anyway, we'll go ahead and add these in. Comparator there, comparator here, a couple of redstone torches off the backs of those, and a final comparator there, and then a observer facing into that comparator. And we're going to take another copper bulb, put it underneath this torch, an observer facing into that with a sticky piston under that. Now we can go ahead and place a couple of hoppers here. Okay, so in this top hopper here, we're going to put 3 items. It doesn't really matter what they are, any chunk item, it can be dirt blocks. Down here we're going to place 6. Make sure one doesn't leak in there, so we show 6 and 3. And basically one of these is controlling the timing on the opening movement, and the other is controlling the timing on the closing movement. And because the door is open right now, we want these to be down, so we want a block here. So you might have to just adjust that. Now we can go ahead and grab some string, some tripwire hooks, and a little bit of obsidian, and go ahead and place in our wires here. So let's go ahead and add in some obsidian here and here, and some tripwire hooks here, 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 and here, and just a couple pieces of string like so. Now this tutorial only calls for a couple of string. I think it's less than what I actually called for, but I have a feeling there's some missing ones that are in this Schematica count that I just couldn't see, so do apologize if you gathered more string than needed. But either way, we're gonna go ahead and what am I doing? Put some tripwire hooks there, some obsidian here with tripwire hooks on those, and go ahead and just connect everything up. And you'll know when it's connected when you hear that satisfying little click. Okay, So now if these armor stands were to get pushed up by the pistons, they would power these blocks here, which in turn, if those blocks, you know, happen to be pistons. Oh, speaking of which, let's actually do that right away here. It would push them upwards. Let's go ahead and put some pistons here in place of these concrete blocks, just like that. And then that way, when we close this, oh, you know what? It might be useful if I actually added in the redstone for this half and also the armor stands. Okay, we got redstone there. We got redstone there. And I'm pretty sure these armor stands are actually just from the Schematica. So let's go ahead and place, yep, some armor stands on top of these pistons. Oh, not there. What am I doing? There we go. And now if we trigger this, we should see some armor stands go up, and that goes up, and then we'll press this again, pulls down, and the system opens right up. And let's go ahead and just turn that off for a second so we can actually see what's happening here with these armor stands. Boom, up into the tripwires. System gets pushed up. Very satisfying, is it not? Okay. That is a 5x5 interlocking, kind of seamless flush door. 6 different ways. Man, I'm pooched, let me tell you. Now I gotta edit this. Hey, if you made it this far, here, thanks. Have a cookie. You know, I honestly, I tried my best with this tutorial thing. I'm not great at sitting here talking to a mic. It was a little bit more nerve-wracking than I thought it would be. So you know, if you liked this tutorial and appreciated the efforts, feel free to drop a like down there. I'm trying to grow my channel, so you know, any support is appreciated. If you guys have any requests for neat redstone contraptions that you want to see, feel free to also let me know down below. Anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate any support. Ciao for now.